Hey, Awesomes, how's it going? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Um, this will be the last video, at least I record today. Been known to record videos in the middle of the week, but as far as making sure we have all the bases covered for the week, this video here is going to be about revision. And as you may recall, for this week, we're revising Project One, right? You've gotten some feedback from your peers. You've read two other of your peers' work, how they've approached the three scenarios. And so, what you're going to do is take every single thing that you've learned, right, and go back and look at your work and see if there's anything that you would change, right? Is there a concept or an idea or a vantage point or something that maybe you didn't think about, or did you learn something about? Oh, that's an interesting way to think about how I might be able to approach, the buffer paragraph or the reason paragraph or the bad news paragraph itself and the closing. So I think more than anything, so let's go look at the Project One description. I'm gonna, in case you haven't looked all the way down, the evaluation here. Just look at some of these scenarios. And while there's a lot of things in these bullet points here, obviously to think about, and I think that the one that is often most overlooked is, do you have, well, dadgummit, do you have all of these, right? Does each one have a buffer paragraph, a reason paragraph, the bad news paragraph, and a closing paragraph, right? There need to be four distinct things, okay? Distinct paragraphs, okay? Um, so, oftentimes, try to combine them. Well, maybe in some cases those work, but really, try to make sure and think about those as being four distinct areas, right? And paragraphs that you are addressing. It also helps to make sure that you don't overlook something, right? Here's the buffer, right? Here's the reason, right? Da-da-da. Here's the bad news, right? Here's the closing, uplifting, kind of paragraph, because you want to make sure that you have all four of those, to use a musical term, movements, right, in there, because you're taking someone from a rhetorical standpoint. That's kind of the path, if you will, that you are taking it through, right? The next thing, a lot of times, is okay. Is the letter formatted like the letter? Is it in the block style? Is your email? Does it have a subject line? An opening with the greeting, right? The body, the four paragraphs, closing line, and the signature. Internal memo. Does it have the to, from, subject, date, or to, from, date, subject, however you want to do that? Is it in memo formatting, right? And then we'll talk real quick about your reflective memo. All right. And this is, again, this is not a screencast. This is just, so page one is your first scenario, page two, second scenario, page three, your third scenario, page four. I just want you to tell me about some of the assumptions that you made, perhaps in each one of these scenarios. What are some things that guided you in writing, perhaps a difference? How did you look at scenario one versus scenario three, right? Scenario two versus scenario one, et cetera, et cetera. What are some key things that you, through this process, and also through the feedback, right? Reading others, your fellow peers' work. Did you make any particular decisions when it comes to rhetorical appeals? Did ethos, pathos, logos come up, or what did you think about? Doesn't have to be specific. And then just kind of give me an idea of how you looked at each one kind of differently, because each one is kind of what we would call a rhetorical situation. And then how did you feel that you connected to the audiences in each one? And then anything else that just you're reflecting back on writing these three, right? And you wrote a draft, you submitted it, a couple of your peers looked at it, gave you some feedback, then you had some more time, i.e. this week, to make revisions. So tell me about that. These are some things to guide you, right? You don't have to necessarily answer these in a necessarily a list-like way, but just kind of, how did you go about making these decisions? What were you thinking about when you wrote them, right? Just literally kind of be reflective on that, as deeply and as analytical as you possibly can, and then. Some of these reflective moments that are really, really awesome are about learning, right? It's about reflecting back on how you thought about those things, right? What was your mindset, right? When you first wrote scenario one, how was maybe your mindset different than when you thought about writing scenario two versus scenario three, let's say? And then you got some feedback and you read some of your other peers' work, as I've said before. Did anything change, right? When you sat back down to look at those, did some of the feedback make sense, right? Those type of things. So I'm looking for a book here, right? Just looking for a memo to me, no more than a page. Okay, guys? All right. Hope that helps. Okay. Just really want to hear what was going on when you were writing those. Okay. There's a lot of videos this week. I went a little bit long this week, and I apologize. But it's harder to do this in a 6-week course than it is in the 12 weeks. So anyway, all right, I'll shut up now. All right, guys, have a great week. Just anything I can do